back-to-back night where you've got all that travel, in that week. However, considering the teams we're facing, those are 4 teams that we can beat any given night that we play them. So, heck, as long as we come out of that, 2-2 or 3-1 out of the next 4 games, I'll be happy. And that's very possible. So, stuff to watch and look forward to if you're a T-Wolves fan. All right, now going around the league real quick for the NBA, keeping it out west. As I mentioned, the Golden State Warriors are still undefeated, 23-0. I want to say whatever record they're chasing next, which isn't the best start. It's like, the most consecutive wins ever in NBA history or something like that in one season. Is like 30 or 32 or 33, one of those. So they're fastly approaching that. They are 23-0, having a historically epic, great season, following up their championship from last year. Absolutely no hangover from that whatsoever, and doing it all without their head coach Steve Kerr, and doing it with interim head coach Luke Walton. Then, not far behind though, you've got the San Antonio Spurs having a great year at 18-5. Third is the Thunder at 13-8. Clippers 13-9. Mavericks 13-9. At 6, you got the Memphis Grizzlies 13-10. Rockets, after the McHale firing, have gotten, are on a bit of a hot swing. They're up to 7th in the West now after being like second to last when McHale was fired. They're 11-12. Jazz are currently in the 8th and final spot at 9-10, and then we've got the Suns 9-13, the T-Wolves 9-12, the Suns 9-13, the Trailblazers 9-14, the Nuggets 8-14, the Kings 8-15. So a big old jumble jamboree there, and then the Pelicans surprisingly way down there at 5-16. New coach not working out so well. And the Los Angeles Lakers 3-18 or 3-19. Man, do they stink. Then out east, we got the Cavs in first at 14-7, followed by the Hornets. Are you kidding me? At 13-8. Where did they come from? Got the Raptors, no big surprise there, 14-9. A healthy Pacers is not too surprising in fourth at 12-8. Tied with the Miami Heat at 12-8. Boston Celtics at 13-9. Figured they'd be somewhere around the 8 seed. And then the Hawks and Bulls struggling a little bit more than they are expected to at 13-9 and 11-8. The Bulls barely hanging in there at that 8 seed at the moment. Magic overachieving in 9th at 12-9. Detroit Pistons, after being a little hot, cooling off now. They're down to 12-11 in 10th place. Knicks are 10-12, followed by the Wizards having a disappointing year in 12th at 9-11. And the Bucks also having a disappointing year in 13th at 9-14. And then the Nets are crummy at 6-15, and the Sixers are the worst team in basketball at 1-21, the only team they beat, the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, so there's your balls dribble for you, and like I mentioned, the super awesome, unique Balls Deep Thought of the Day this week will have a semi-basketball tie into it. So there you go. All right, so moving from balls dribble to balls on ice, where of course we talk hockey. So my team, maybe your team, the Minnesota Wild, their last 2 games were both against the Colorado Avalanche, a rival of ours. Not the best of team this year, but still always plays us tough. The first one of those, we won 3-0 in a shutout. We had back-to-back shutouts against the Maple Leafs on last Thursday, and then on Saturday against the Avalanche. Then on, would have been Monday. Yeah, it would have been Monday when we played in Colorado against the Avalanche. First one was at home. When we played them in our most recent game on Monday at Colorado, we lost 2-1. Our next game is Saturday? Jeez, like Friday or Saturday? Okay, 9 is Wednesday, 10 is Thursday. Okay, so Friday. Our next game is Friday. Jeez, nice job, Scott. In Arizona against the Coyotes. So all the Minnesota sports teams in Arizona playing this weekend from Thursday through Saturday. Phenomenal time to be down in Arizona if you're a Minnesota sports fan. But that will be on Friday at 8 p.m. And then on Saturday they play a back-to-back This one is in San Jose against the Sharks. That should be a tough game. Hopefully they can beat the Coyotes and then, take the loss to the Sharks on Saturday. Then Sunday's off, Monday's off, and then Tuesday they will be back at home against the Canucks when we come to you on our next show. Main thing for the Wild right now is that they are finally starting to get healthy, or at least healthier. You're seeing Parise come back. You're seeing Scampanella come back. You're getting, or at least close to coming back, with some of these guys. But you're seeing the roster get healthier. It's not to say there aren't still guys going down with injury or recovering from injury, but at least some of the guys that we've been missing for a while are starting to come back. And there aren't a whole lot of, glaring production weaknesses from any, certain lines or players or, areas of the team. It is around this time of year every year that, people like myself start bringing up whether Mike Yeo should be the coach here or not. I don't think he's done anything to lose the coaching gig yet this year. I think if you didn't think he should be the coach, then you still think that from last year, which maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Not going to tell you yet, tonight at least. But I don't think he's done anything wrong with this team this year to warrant him being on any kind of hot seat or having his job questioned at the moment. But continue to keep an eye on things. But it was nice to string together a 3-game win streak here in a row, within the last 4 games. So, hopefully we can overcome that most recent loss and get at least one more win on this 3-game road trip here before we got to come back home and take on the Canucks and then a very tough Rangers team and then on the road against Predators and Stars and Canadiens. Boy, this next week worth of games yet is probably the last, semi-decent period on the schedule. And even that, the Sharks and the Canucks are no joke either. This Friday game against the Coyotes, that's our last, fairly good game on the schedule. Sharks, Canucks, Rangers, Predators, Stars, Canadiens, those are all fairly decent teams. Then Penguins and Red Wings are all right. They're still who they are. Blues, hitting a real tough schedule stretch here for the Wild. So keep an eye out on that. And just hope for health, like I said. That's the main thing. But all right, quick league-wide standings for NHL. In our Western Conference Central Division, the Stars are still on top, way in first. Are they the best or the second best team in hockey? They are the best team in hockey as far as the points total goes. They have 44 freaking points. Running away with it so far this year are the Dallas Stars. Way behind them is everyone else. St. Louis Blues 36 points, Blackhawks 34, Wild 33, Predators 33. So Wild's still very much in the race with everything. No panics coming up anytime soon yet, I don't think. And then the Jets way back there with 28 points, and the Avalanche with 25 at the bottom. And then out in the Pacific, we've got the strong Kings with 37 points, and then way behind them, Sharks 28, Canucks 28, Coyotes 27, Ducks 27, Flames 24, Oilers 24. So the entire Pacific Division stinks in hockey. It stinks. It's terrible. Didn't we have 3 divisions in hockey for each conference not too long ago? Was that like just this year or last year that they changed that back to the 2 on each side? But anyway, we're in the super tough one, of course. But thanks to the points total, it shouldn't matter too much. But I want to say is it 2 or 3 guaranteed from each division, which I hope they just take the division winners and then go by points, because then we'll have one playoff team from the Pacific and the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 or 6 of the other ones of the other 7 will be from the Central, with maybe the Sharks or Canucks or Coyotes or Ducks getting in there yet. I hope the Ducks come around because they were my pick. But anyway, out east then, the best team out east with the most points and the biggest lead in their conference, in their division as well, will be in the Atlantic Division. Out east, the Canadiens have 41 points, Red Wings in second with 35, Senators with 35, Bruins with 33, Panthers with 30, Lightning surprisingly way back there with 29, and then the Sabres and Leafs, Maple Leafs not surprisingly, at the bottom with 25 points apiece. Then on top of the Metropolitan was via my hockey experts pick for the East as well as the Metropolitan. The Capitals with 40 points. Right behind them is the Rangers with 39 points. Islanders 37, Devils 32, surprising there. Penguins with 30, Flyers 28, and then at the bottom we got the Hurricanes with 24 and the Blue Jackets with 24. And the Blue Jackets I picked to be a good playoff team this year. A lot of people thought they were an up-and-coming, ready to splash team. We were all wrong. Okay, sorry. But boom, there is your balls on ice. Moving right along, if you can't tell, because, again, I wanted to keep this shorter and got too much to talk about yet, and I was way too long-winded on the Vikes. As always, my apologies. Whatever. But let's see, where do we go next? No college basketball to discuss. Golf tournament, yeah, somebody won last week. It was like Bubba Watson or Fowler. I don't know who it was, Paul Casey, whatever. So boom, there's college basketball off the list. There's PGA off the list. Let's go to Major League Baseball. We will not discuss the Twins line. We'll save Twins lineup for another day. We can do that anytime here in the off season. But the big signing. Now, last week we talked about the big signing with David Price. 7 years, $210 million, whatever it was. 6 years, 210. 6 or 7. But anyway, $210 million. Yeah, 7 years, $30 million a year. And huge contract. One of the hugest of all time. I think it might have been the biggest for a pitcher ever. But so then, in a arguably as big or bigger one, maybe slightly smaller, depending on how you look at it, free agent pitcher Zach Greinke, who you should be familiar with from his time with the Kansas City Royals and the LA Dodgers. He signed his big free agent deal, and he ended up signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks, a team that's, hasn't been competitive, isn't perceived to be very good. And he said before signing with them, during this whole process, that he would sign with the team that offered the most money. It didn't matter to him whatsoever how good or competitive, any of the teams were perceived to be, that he was simply going to go to the highest bidder, period. And that's what he was looking for. And I freaking love it. It made me like him. Made me be a way bigger Zach Greinke fan. Like, everybody's going, oh, he's the guy who, only plays for the money. No, they're all the guy who plays for the most money, okay? Every single one of them is the guy who takes the biggest contract and plays for the most money. Or almost. I shouldn't say everyone, but, for the sake of this argument. He's the guy that has the balls to be honest about it and upfront about it, not pulling any punches. So kudos to Zach Greinke. He signs with the Arizona Diamondbacks. 6 years, like $204, $206, $208 million. Just under $210 million, so he didn't get that total number that Price did, but it's a whole year less of contract, so he's actually making like $3 to $5 million more per year in his contract. I want to say it's 4 point something than Price is in his, so it's a bigger per year contract. But hope it's gonna lead to more wins to some extent as long as he stays healthy for the Diamondbacks. And baseball can dramatically switch, just like the NFL does from year to year. Basketball seems to be the slowest build of the four. Ooh, good balls, deep thought. Sometime we'll save that. But so, yeah, boom. Baseball news, Zach Greinke signs huge mega contract with the Arizona Diamondbacks. All right, we've got college football yet. Gophers going to be in a bowl game at 5-7. And the main reason that they got that is because they're in the top 5 for like academic points, the APR academic point ranking or whatever they have, where they take all the schools, student athletes and their grades, and that's actually what one of the top tiebreakers between all these garbage 5-7 teams that they need to fill bowl slots is. So congratulations to the University of Minnesota and the Gophers for that. However, I'm told that should this garbage bowl game, which is going to